It's Thursday evening, August 27th, 2026, and it's time for our monthly update. We're going to dive into how our QQQ, QLD, and TQQQ investments have performed and take a closer look at what's been happening in the markets. This month brought a genuinely satisfying confirmation of a pattern we have been tracking closely, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the bigger picture. The market's journey from April 7th, 2025 to October 29th, 2025 was absolutely remarkable. Over those 7 months, QQQ delivered an incredible bullish run, surging from $402 on April 7, 2025, all the way to a peak of $637 on October 29, 2025. During this explosive period, QQQ stayed comfortably above the SMA 50 purple line for 7 straight months. However, during the Iran war crisis, QQQ crashed to a low price of $555 on March 30th. At that point, a death cross seemed absolutely inevitable, and conventional wisdom suggested it would not be easy to reclaim the SMA 200 green line and the SMA 50 purple line anytime soon. But then something truly remarkable happened. Since March 30th, QQQ surged almost straight up from $555 all the way to $748 on June 4th. QQQ reclaimed both the SMA 50 purple line and the SMA 200 green line, completely avoided the death cross, and smashed through to another all-time high. Now, here's something important to understand about markets in general. Since QQQ went up so aggressively to $748 on June 4th within just 2 months, some correction was practically inevitable. Rapid, steep rallies almost always need to digest their gains eventually. For the next 2 months from June 4th, QQQ plunged all the way down to $661 on July 29th. The good news, and this is genuinely good news, is that QQQ was able to rebound between the SMA 50 purple line and the SMA 200 green line rather than breaking down further. Now let me bring you back to what I said in last month's QQQ versus QLD video, because this is where things get really interesting. At that time, I expected that QQQ would probably not break below the SMA 200 green line again for the remainder of this year. My reasoning was based on a consistent historical pattern I want to walk through again for anyone who missed it or needs a refresher. QQQ tends to dip below the SMA 200 green line about once a year, and it has done so with remarkable regularity. In 2024, QQQ went below that line and rebounded right at the SMA 200 green line on August 5, 2024. In 2025, QQQ went below the SMA 200 green line once, but stayed below it for a longer stretch of 2 full months, from March 6, 2025 to May 9, 2025. In 2026, QQQ went below the SMA 200 green line once, staying below it for 3 weeks, from March 19 to April 7. Based on this consistent yearly pattern, I predicted that QQQ would not break below the SMA 200 green line again for the rest of this year. I also mentioned that if it did happen anyway, that would represent a fantastic opportunity to buy more shares of TQQQ at a meaningful discount. I am happy to report that prediction has held up well. Currently, QQQ is successfully positioned above both the SMA 50 purple line and the SMA 200 green line. Since QQQ has broken above these critical levels, let's add both the SMA 5 blue line and the SMA 20 black line to our analysis for a more complete technical picture. Here is an interesting detail worth highlighting. When you look at the SMA 5 blue line specifically, QQQ was actually trading below it for 7 consecutive trading days right up until yesterday. However, QQQ was able to climb back above the SMA 5 blue line today, and the catalyst was significant. NVIDIA beat earnings expectations and signaled strong AI demand continuing throughout 2027. That kind of forward-looking guidance from one of the most important companies in the entire index carries real weight. Today, QQQ sits around $721, positioned above all 4 SMA lines simultaneously, including the SMA 5 blue line, the SMA 20 black line, the SMA 50 purple line, and the SMA 200 green line. When a stock or index clears all 4 of these key moving averages at once, that is typically a very strong technical signal. I think there is a good chance for QQQ to hold above all 4 SMA lines for the next several weeks based on this alignment. Since we focus on long-term investing on this channel, let's step back and review this weekly QQQ chart for proper perspective, because I genuinely believe this is where the real reassurance comes from for long-term holders like us. The weekly view tells a very consistent and reassuring story. Since January 2023, QQQ has remained above the SMA 200 green line continuously on the weekly chart without a single break below it. Not one. QQQ has also stayed above the SMA 20 black line most of the time since January 2023, with brief corrections happening only once per year. Here is the pattern that I find incredibly consistent and reassuring, and I want to emphasize this again because it has now held true for 4 consecutive years. QQQ went down below the SMA 20 black line only once in 2023, only once in 2024, only once in 2025, and only once in 2026. One correction per year, every single time followed by a full recovery. In 2026 specifically, QQQ rebounded at the SMA 50 purple line before successfully reclaiming the SMA 20 black line. And remarkably, even this week, QQQ was able to rebound at the SMA 20 black line on the weekly chart once again, continuing the exact same pattern we have documented since 2023. Now for our QQQ versus QLD $100 challenge portfolio update. On August 19th, I bought $100 worth of QQQ. Combined with our previous QQQ holdings and QQQM positions, I have invested a total of $5,300. From QQQ in my individual account, my current unrealized gain is $2,220. From my Roth IRA account, my current unrealized gain is $48 from QQQM. Together, the total market value of QQQM and QQQ combined is about $7,560. That unrealized gain of $2,268 out of $5,300 invested delivers a solid 43% return. For QLD, on August 19th, right after buying QQQ, I also bought $100 worth of QLD. Combining QLD shares in both the Roth IRA and individual accounts, I have invested a total of $5,300. The results here are even more impressive. My unrealized gain from both accounts now stands at about $3,970, giving us a powerful 75% return. The performance gap between QLD and QQQ continues to widen, especially during rising markets like the one we are currently experiencing. This is exactly what we expect from a 2x leverage product, and it is playing out precisely as designed. Now let's compare the performance of TQQQ, our 3x leveraged holding. I have invested a total of $20,300 in TQQQ. My current unrealized gain is $27,650, delivering an outstanding 136% return. Let me put all three numbers side by side so you can really appreciate the leverage effect in action. My personal portfolio shows QQQ with about 43% return, QLD with 75%, and TQQQ leading with an impressive 136%. Notice how each step up in leverage roughly compounds the outcome. This is not luck. This is the mathematical nature of leverage products working in our favor during a sustained uptrend. Since May 2024, we have maintained an unwavering commitment of investing at least $100 into QQQ and $100 into QLD every single month, no matter what the market does, no matter what the headlines say, and no matter how we personally feel about short-term volatility. This consistent, disciplined approach perfectly embodies dollar cost averaging, or DCA. The goal remains straightforward: reduce the impact of short-term market swings by spreading our investments over time. Our strategy rests on 4 fundamental rules that never change. First, invest monthly without fail, regardless of headlines or emotions. Second, hold long-term for 30+ years to capture the full power of compounding. Third, never sell regardless of market conditions, crashes, or euphoria. Fourth, never, ever use dangerous margin that could force us to sell at the worst possible time. This approach is specifically designed to succeed over decades and completely removes emotion from the investment equation. If you want to see 30 years of compelling data proving this methodology works through multiple market cycles, check out my deep dive video Cash versus SPY versus QQQ versus QLD versus TQQQ, 30-year showdown. Let me close with the August 2026 scorecard. QQQ climbed back above all 4 key SMA lines and sits at $721, with NVIDIA's strong earnings serving as a powerful catalyst. TQQQ leads our portfolio at 136% return. QLD follows at 75%. QQQ sits at 43%. Our prediction about QQQ avoiding another SMA 200 breakdown for the rest of 2026 has held true so far, consistent with 4 straight years of the exact same seasonal pattern. That wraps up our August 2026 update. If you got value from this video, smash that like button, subscribe so you don't miss next month's update, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, this content is for entertainment only and not financial advice. Make sure your investments align with your own goals and risk tolerance. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay consistent and let the power of compounding do the work. Happy investing, everyone!